Now it does take a full day for it to dry, but you don't have to leave it on her head for the full day. After about 10 minutes, it's solid enough that you can remove it very, very carefully from the head. With it will come the cellophane, and then you just peel the cellophane out, and you can see that the markings have been transferred to the inside of the unit. After the mold is dry, I would go through and sharpen up all of my lines using a Sharpie and also some whiteout to remove the width of some of these lines. And then make up a work order and include a hair sample and send it off to Manila. It takes about 9 weeks to fabricate. What they are going to do is they are going to spray the inside of this unit with wax. Then through the wax transfer all of the markings so that now it's on the top surface of the wax. And then pour in styrofoam. What we'll get is the mold marked and then the markings transferred to the form. The form is what they're going to build the hairpiece on. What they're going to do is stretch the material that you have asked for over this form and make an exact copy that will fit the top of her head. You can indicate around the edges if you want some polyurethane. This is good if you're doing a permanent attachment because now you have a surface to apply your adhesive. It's also good if you're going to do a temporary attachment because this gives a stronger base for you to sew your clips in. In some people who have very, very short hair, this polyester can extend to the hairline, and then instead of having the polyurethane going across the entire edge, you're going to zigzag it so that it leaves areas where just the polyester or monofilament is exposed. This makes a slightly flatter edge and is really good for very, very, very short hairstyles. Well, the mold is dry now, and all we have left to do is to mark it and to complete the paperwork that goes with it. The inside of the mold has the imprint from the original molding, and what I'm going to do is with a Sharpie, I'm going to sharpen the inside lines so that they know precisely where the edge of the unit is going to be. In this particular case, it's silicone, so I don't have too many markings to put in because the entire base is going to be made out of one piece of material that's molded over the form that will come from this base. To make sure that there aren't any mistakes at the factory level, once I've penciled in the precise outline, I'm going to cover over any extra markings with whiteout. Okay, now that it's completely marked, all I've done is indicated with a very, very dark line the outline of my unit and where the part and the crown are going to be. Those markings will show up on the form that they'll use as the base to stretch the material for the hair piece. The other thing I have to do is fill out a order form. This will indicate the types of materials I'm going to use for the base, the types of hair, the colors of hair, how they're going to be blended, and which direction the hair is ultimately going to be styled. It starts off at the top. It's the product line. You get to choose the label that you put inside. You can use the company's label or you can use your own. The difference is that when you use the company's label, the unit is guaranteed for 1 year. When you use your own label, you provide your own guarantee. The next section is construction specifications. First box, you're going to indicate the size of the unit, whether it's going to be a 16 or a 24-inch partial, which is a very small piece used on the top of the head. Generally, it's used to comb hair over or to blend in with hair that is standing more upright. There's a top of head, which is what we're doing today. It can measure as much as 9 inches from front to back and 7 inches from side to side. Once you go over those dimensions, it becomes a 3/4 cap head. Of course, you can do a full wig also. Each unit is priced according to the size or the area of the base. The next section is the materials. And that's where you're going to decide what kind of bases that you're going to be putting in your units. I told you before that there are basically 4 bases: polyester, nylon, polyurethane, and silicone. And each one has its different characteristics. Polyester and nylon are both meshes, so they're very airy and light, and they're very comfortable to wear. Silicones and polyurethane are actually skin-like materials. They're very convincing for very short haircuts where you actually want to see some sort of scalp. Usually in these kinds of materials, the hair is implanted one individual hair at a time, and when cut even into a wiffle, it will look absolutely real. The next section is the style, and that's going to be how the hair is ventilated into the unit. If the hair is going to be coming straight forward, that's the way the knots are going to be placed in, so that the hair just naturally falls forward. If there is a break or a part, then the knots are going to be twisted so that they're directed away from the break or part, and this will make it fall naturally into that shape. Brush back with lift is a hair that is actually directed forward, and then in the perming process the hair is rolled backwards, so it gives a little bit of height off of the hairline. Whereas a brush back, the knots are directed backwards, and it gives more of a slick, almost Bela Lugosi type of look. I don't generally use this kind of a style set unless I'm using the theatrical front lace, because that's going to give me a very, very soft hairline. I also generally don't use theatrical front laces on clients that are starting with hair replacement for the first time. They're much more fragile, they have to be replaced more often, they require a little bit more repair and a lot more care. They're a little bit more difficult to put on, and all of these things are a little too much to give to a client for the first time. I let her get used to wearing hair to begin with, and then we might experiment in different types of styles that would involve these different implements. Along with the styling specifications is the density of the hair and the curl pattern of the hair and the length of the hair. You first indicate how long you want it. Human hair unit has 2 different price increments. There's 6-inch long hair, and then there's 16-inch long hair. Anything in between 6 and 16 is priced out as a 16-inch hair. Then you have a curl pattern, which generally in human hair is very, very loose, and they allow you to curl the hair yourself when you're with the client. I use a regular perm solution, but I do not neutralize. I leave it on the rods for 48 hours, then remove it from the rods and dampen it down again. This gives the hair enough time to naturally absorb oxygen from the air and to neutralize, not break it down too fast. Ventilation is the process of the density of the hair. How many hairs per square inch are put in? Generally, ready-made wigs are at a medium density, and I find that they're rather thick. I generally order light to medium light densities, and I will vary it so that it's light around the hairline, and then as it progresses towards the crown of the head, it gets a little bit heavier. The last section is color specifications, and you have 2 choices. You could choose a color from a color ring. You also may blend 2 colors. They will do that at the factory. All you have to do is indicate the numbers from the tags and the percentages that you want blended together. Or you can include a hair sample. Where Roxanne colors her hair, I made sure that I colored it first, took a sample using a thinning shears in various parts of the head, making sure that the sample was large enough that you could actually see what color it is, and then attach the sample to the work order when I send it out. Now that the work order and the mold are done, all I have to do is package them up inside a box, include a check, and address it to the manufacturer. And we just wait 9 weeks while the little ladies over in Korea put this thing together, and it will be ready for me to cut in on Roxanne.